Welcome back to another episode of Tank Cleaning right here on the Fish Tank Podcast YouTube. Today we're scrubbing down the story of one of the most controversial draft picks in Miami Dolphins history, Ted Ginn Jr. Now back in 2007, the Dolphins were starving for a quarterback. The whole world thought Brady Quinn was their guy. And then when the pick came down, boom, Ted Ginn Jr. and the fan base went nuclear. Oh, that was fun. But let's be real for a second. Have you seen Brady Quinn's NFL resume? Miami didn't miss much. Anyways, Ted sits down in the fish tank and starts peeling back the layers of his story, and right out the gate, Juice connects with him. As both of them are Cleveland guys, both were high school stars out of Ohio, and he spoke on what that was like right here.
Cleveland is a competing town, on the field and off the field. But as a kid growing up, man, from, your guys' era to our era, it was all about competing. And you was able to go see that. Like I tell kids all the time, you never seen street football until you went to see one block play against another block or one area play against another area. They come out with EMS on the sideline. You might come out with a broken collarbone or something like that, and they go to the next event after that and talk about it and have fun. And it wasn't about drama that is created nowadays today through the great game of our sports, but being able just to visualize or being able to touch people like Chris Chambers and Lee Evans and Tony Fisher and Lamont Bentley, and you just got a whole host of guys, that come through here that really gave back to make a way for me, in my journey of, my first 18 years of my life.
And that got me thinking. Ohio's fingerprints are all over the game of football. I mean, from Paul Brown to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the literal founding of the NFL. So if Texas is football's muscle and Florida is football's speed, I think there might just be a case for saying that Ohio might just be the sport's beating heart. So let me know, by the way, if that's something you guys might be interested in getting a deep dive on, because I have this crazy idea where the team, hopefully including myself, goes out there and we focus mostly on Juice as our very own personal Ohio kid, and we go through his story as a football star coming out of Ohio, and as well as Ohio as a character in the story of the history of football. Let me know if that's something you guys be interested in. Spam it in the comments. If you want to see it, let's make it happen. Moving on. At Ted's own high school, Glenville, man, that place pumps out NFL players like an assembly line. I mean, wow. I don't think I've ever, on a list of notable alumni that includes all kinds of things, actors, lawyers, politicians, the creators of the comic book hero Superman? Wow. But I have never seen that many NFL players coming out of one high school. I checked the list, almost fell out of my damn chair. Meanwhile, my own high school's claim to fame is, albeit a Super Bowl winning D lineman named Tony Hargrove. Picture here if I found it. Let's have a quick moment for 18-year-old Sevach. A kicker who actually went down in Dolphins infamy as the man who made the game-winning field goal to cap off the Monday Night Miracle, Mr. John Hall, who also owned a sports bar in my hometown for a pretty long while. John Hall's Goalpost. Decent food. I think he's actually been a fireman for the last decade and a half or something. And finally, a young man that just recently bounced around a few practice squads. But here's the thing about Ginn. His draft day reception wasn't just controversial among the fans. Even inside the locker room, dudes were not necessarily sold on the speedy return man. He had this to say about it.
I got booed. I got talked about. People looking at me when I come in the locker room like, why we get him? He hurt already.
So no, not everybody was on the same page, and honestly, it's hard to blame them. When you think about it, Miami's receiver room at the time was pretty stacked. Marty Booker and my guy, Chris Chambers. I love me some Chris Chambers, so let me pause right here for a moment. Chris freaking Chambers top 5 in Dolphins history in career receiving yards, yet he is the only one in that group that did not have the luxury of catching passes from Dan Marino, or any franchise quarterback for that matter. Yet this man put up numbers with a revolving door of quarterbacks. His best year came when he had Gus Frerotte at quarterback, or what was left of him. Gus Frerotte! That should be illegal. So yeah, the Ginn pick blindsided a little bit of everybody, but for Ted, it meant learning alongside some real pros. He had mentors in that room, plus support from across the roster. He explains it here.
But outside of my room and my coach in my room, I had Joey Porter, Chetty Crowder, YB Bell, Cleo Lemon, you know what I'm saying? Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown, Mike Will, Vernon Carey, Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas.
So we did have support in the building, and you know what? He did give us some moments. Hell, that game, I'm sure you remember, where he housed 2 return touchdowns. He reflects on that game here.
They bench me. Said that they had somebody else that could do it. They was giving everybody else in the room an opportunity to go out there. So we go to the Jets. I remember coming home telling my dad, man, I ain't gonna play this week on offense. They're gonna bench me. Woo, woo. He told me to control what I could control. And this one I love Joey Porter. Joey Porter was behind me that's my big bro. Couldn't believe it. They gonna bench you, da-da-da-da. And that's when them 6 core guys come into play. And we went to work. And got the first one, made a little move, went on down, and I was hot. I'm like, somehow, some way, I think Brad Smith did some crazy something. He did a crazy from quarterback something and got out of there and scored that, made it kick it right back off. It was like a play that shouldn't have happened. Big play. And I get it back, and I just had that same adrenaline, and boom, I pop, and they ended up giving me the game ball that day.
For one glorious Sunday, Miami fans fell in love again. We thought, here it is, the breakout. Now, while it didn't quite become the career we were hoping for, or even the one that Ted had envisioned for himself, he still carved his place in our history. And now, the full interview digs in even deeper, obviously, and if you haven't checked it out, you need to. Between his perspective, and also on that note, you need to check out the Craig Heil interview as well, because he happened to be our man on the ground, manning the phone that particular draft day, and he's the one that got that word from corporate, our HQ, to make that pick. And it's a really funny tale to hear it from his point of view. Plus, he tells a lot of other interesting stories from his incredibly long time with the franchise, including his retirement and the farewell that he was given by the franchise, which I just thought was really awesome. But do check it out, because between Ted's perspective and Craig's perspective, you get both sides of a moment that still sparked so much debate. So go watch it, go dive in, and I'll see you guys next time right here for another tank cleaning.